Hi, everybody. This is Brian Antonson from the digital film program at SRJC. Just giving you a quick little overview of our digital film production classes, and more importantly, the course sequences that I would recommend that you take if you are thinking of taking any of our classes. So if you go onto our website, which I know can sometimes be difficult to navigate. If you're on just like our regular homepage, you can look up in the search bar, Digital Filmmaking AS, which stands for the Associates in Science. It will take you to this page here. Or you can also just find the Communication Studies Department, which is where our program lives. And under Digital Film and Media Courses, you can drop down here where it says Digital Film AS and Certificate. Just so that you know, digital film really refers to the production arm of making media. So media studies is about studying media as an art form, whereas digital filmmaking, our program is about making that media. So there's a number of different classes and course sequences which I would recommend you take, and that's what I want to show you here really quick in just like a minute. If you scroll, this might look different because we're revamping our webpage, but at somewhere on the page, it will show you our AST, which stands for Associate Science for Transfer, or our certificate. Both are very similar and they're in digital film. If you click either one of those, it will take you to a screen that has basically 4 pages on it. The first page is what the state requires if you are planning to take a bunch of classes and transfer it. This is their requirements, and that our AS meets their requirements. I'll come back to this in a second. What I want to show you really is the third page, and the fourth page, which is if you're planning on studying production, media production, in our case, it's called digital film. These are the sequence of classes that I would recommend you take. Some of you are only here for 1 year, and some of you are here for 2 years. The preferred order would be 2 years if you can, because this is coming from experience from talking to a lot of students who have been through the program. The courses are pretty creatively taxing. If you try to jam too many of our classes into 1 or 2 semesters, it can feel creatively exhausting. And so in speaking to a lot of our students, they've told me like, if I had spread out my course load a little bit, it would have been, more enjoyable. I would have gotten better results out of the films that I'm making. So if you plan on being at the JC for 2 years, I would recommend that you take the classes in this order. Now you notice that they are color coded. Green means that classes are offered usually in the fall only. Yellow means for in the spring only, and blue means usually in the fall and spring. Some of these, actually only Media 22 is offered in also the summer usually. So if you're going to be at the JC for 2 years, I would recommend in your first year, take Media 10, Media 51, CS 7421, and Media 22. Take those in your first year. They're offered every semester in the fall and the spring, so you can take them anytime, in any combination. And this will give you the kind of core foundation to then move on to the more advanced classes of making media. So just in a nutshell, film appreciation is the study of film as an art form. So we'll kind of give you the language and the grammar of all the terms and the kind of a language that filmmakers need to know. Media 51 is audio for digital film production, and it's about it's a new class. It's basically about how to record audio for the various modes of production. It's also a bit of an overview of different modes of production itself. So it's a really helpful production overview class, and really the first one that you should take before moving on to any of the other production classes. CS 7421 is the post-production class. It's specifically a study of Adobe Premiere. And then Media 22 is screenwriting. So between those 4 classes, if you take those 4 classes first, you're going to be very well prepared to move on to these other classes. So you can take one in your fall semester and then one in the spring semester of year 2, and then you'll have your certificate, assuming that you're taking all of the GE classes in between. Just a word about these classes. Media 20 is specifically fiction production, short film fiction production. So you write a script, you pre-produce it, you shoot it, and you edit it. And if you like that, if you like fiction, you can go on to Media 21 in the spring. That is only offered in the spring only. So we recommend that you take Media 20 the first semester of your second year, and then Media 21 the second semester of your second year. If you think that you might like nonfiction production, I would recommend Journalism 55. It's in the journalism wing of the communications program. I usually teach it. It's also single camera production, but it's telling nonfiction stories. So we usually, this is like documentary, essentially. Documentaries, interviews, tracking down stories. We do a lot of fire stories, but it can be all sorts of gamut. And there's a lot of creativity in that. That couples nicely with another class. I don't want to say it's nonfiction, but most of the content that we make in it is nonfiction, but not necessarily, which is Media 19, which is studio multi-camera production. So we have a beautiful studio on our campus, and you write scripts in that and shoot it too, but most of the time they're nonfiction content, and that's only offered in the spring. And lastly, our most advanced class is Media 21, Intermediate Digital Film Production. You have to have taken Media 20 before you take that. It's not a required class, but if you like fiction storytelling, then you should take Media 20 first and then Media 21 second. For those of you who are only planning on being at the college for 1 year, you kind of have to jam a lot of this in. This is very similar to the certificate, which you can look at through the other link, very similar. And this is the sequence that I would recommend that you take. Again, because you have to jam it all into 1 year, it's going to be much more difficult creatively, but this is the order. You would take Media 10, Media 51, and editing, the CS 74, all in your first semester, and then pick one of the 2 production classes, either Media 20 or J55, Journalism 55. Then in your second semester of your year, you would take screenwriting, and then either Media 21 if you like fiction, or Media 19 if you want to do multi-camera studio. There are different kinds of configurations that you can take. But for this video, that's all I really wanted to say. If you're maybe not sure if you want to study production or maybe just media as an art form, you can look at this the AST, and you can see that there are lots of different configurations you can get your certificate or to get your associates to transfer. If you want to focus specifically on production, media making, this is the graph that I would suggest that you follow. This is your 1 year sequence, and this is a 2 year sequence. 2 year sequence is recommended if you have an option. Okay, that's all I have. That's all I wanted to go over. If you have any questions about any of this, feel free to send me an email. If you go back to our department, Communication Studies department page, and go under Contact Us, go to Faculty, and you will see my email address here. That's me. Also, Mike Trina is also my colleague. He's the one who teaches all of the media studies programs, and Ann Belden teaches all of the journalism classes with the exception of the production J55 that I usually teach. So you can send us an email here, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Otherwise, I look forward to seeing you in some of our media production classes. Take care.